Tonight, I will take you to another journey, which is contests. In Toastmasters, we encourage people to compete, join the competition in a contest, because when you are joining a contest, the growth is exponential. You grow so fast. And I like to remind you, you're not competing with others. You are competing with yourself. Because what you do, you start to learn, you enter the contest, you know your skills, and you improve. The next time you go to another contest, you improve more. And this is how you see yourself growing and becoming better and better. So let's go to the first one. Nabil, or yeah, this one. Today, we're going to go about this journey, how to prepare a winning speech. So since I talked about contest, we like to do that. Now, each one of you, those who are Toastmasters and those who are just hopefully are prospective members, you will join. The most question that comes to me is, I don't know what subject I want to talk about. What can I talk about? Please close your eyes just for a few seconds and in your mind, draw a line from left to right, from 0 to 100. That's the time you are born in the beginning, till time you are still living, hopefully, to 100, like Carter. He just passed away, President Carter, at 100. So let's be positive and say we're going to live for a long time. In that line, you have to remember there are so many happenings in your life. And I call them the 4 F's in our life. First things happen. We are born, we succeeded in something, we graduated, we were, we married. Somebody mentioned about marrying and joined back, stopped from going to Toastmasters. Then he is joining again after marriage. So these are incidents in your life. There are also failures, there are flaws, and there are frustrations. All these are stories they can take from your life and express them. But we don't want to just tell stories for no meaning. We need to have a message. So in each story in our life, we say it and we learn from those things and we pass it on because we transform. Okay? This is how it should be. So let's go to the next one. So I like you to all, after you thought about that line in your life from 0 to 100, and you thought of all the things that happened, please go to that part of your life which you don't want to go to in order to find the gold. Those are the best stories. Be vulnerable. Tell the people that are listening to you what you've been into, what you have learned, so other people can learn from you. Okay? When I tell you my story, I will connect with you and you will learn what I'm saying and you will connect it to your own story. This is how it is. So stories are the things that we should be thinking about when we write speeches and we will want to deliver them and give a message. So every speech should have a valuable message from our life. Where did you learn it? From your parents, from your teachers, from your idols, and then you give them a meaningful message. Okay? Now, let me tell you that stories are something that elicit emotions. Every story you talk about will bring emotions to the listeners. And you feel it because if you tell the story, you have to live it. So if you have been down, you are like being sad. Okay? Basically, human beings have 6 basic emotions. And I hope you don't include all the emotions in your speech because that will be overwhelming and you cannot finish within 7 minutes. In contest, we have 7 minutes to finish. So you can have some incident that made you anger. You're angry, okay? You talk about that emotion. And then talk about sadness, happiness. You are fearful of something in life, disgust, and surprised. You are surprised. So these are 6 important emotions. Select 1, 2, 3 in your speech, and you are really impacting your audience, because the way they are going to get your message is through their emotions. So you understand now? Stories will elicit emotion, and the emotions will impact your audience. Okay, now I say that when we write speeches, we write them. We have to script, you have to write down. Toastmasters tell you how to write speeches. There are projects, they say, how to write your script and deliver a message. And I like you to know about this. Your language should be descriptive. You're just not going to write plain English. Use your creative writing and be descriptive by having like sight. When you are telling people about the story, you tell them what you are seeing so they can see it. Is it a green place? Is it dark? Is it the sky blue? Okay, you have to tell them about something you are hearing. Are there birds singing, or is there a snake moving around, or something like? So the noise that you want to show is the hearing. Also, sometimes people use smell. This is very strong when you use it in your stories. I remember one world champion. If somebody of you remember him, no, he talking about he's and his little daughter were in the watching movie, and the popcorn smell was permeating in the air. So we felt like we are there in the movie, because we all have the experience of going to a theater and smelling the popcorn. So he told us the smell. So that was very strong. You can use taste, you can use touch. So these are the 5 senses that you can use in your descriptive language. Please focus when you write something. It has to be beautiful how you write, to express yourself so people can understand your message. Okay? Now, I like to go now to the story structure. There are 5 C's. You have to really focus on them. In the story, we always say it's the time and the date and the place, which is the setting. But in that setting, I was just telling you about the characters in your story, very important. Me and my boss, at the office. So I introduce my characters right away, myself and the character, or my father and me, or my friend. And so I have to be always in the story, because I'm telling my own story. I'm trying to live that story. So characters and the setting is the first thing when you start. Jump right away after you introduce your characters into a conflict. What happened? Because if there is no conflict, you don't have a story. You have to have a hook to let people understand and be attached to your story. You give them a conflict. What happened? Did you go to the boss and he told you you'll be fired? Oh, that's a conflict. And then after that, bring that conflict, make it higher. Climax. So the third C is you reach a climax, and everybody in the audience listening to you say, oh my goodness, why? I hope I'm not in that position. Because when he say that you are fired and you lost your work, or you are divorced, all these are really huge climax in your conflict, in your story. So use the climax to attract your audience and make them hooked. Now, after the climax, we need hope, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot be always having problems. We have to resolve problems so we have a good message. Because every speech you write, it has to end with good things, with hope. Don't make your people go down the drain and don't bring them back. Okay? You need to have hope in your speeches. The message should be hopeful. Okay? After the climax, you have a solution. Who gave you that solution? Did you learn that solution, or the thing that you really managed to fix the problem, from a mentor in your life? I learned a lot from my parents. And also look at the idols. Sometimes we use Prophet Muhammad in his living, when he did things, we learn from it. So we use that. How we learn from those people, how we learn from our teacher. Sometimes you go and say a friend who helped you and hold your hand when you are down. So anybody in your lifeline, the one that I mentioned, anyone who helped you can bring that and say that I learned that and I'm now better. So you too can be better if you have a friend like me. Okay? So you have done that and you have made a change in your life from being bad to being better. Okay? And finally, you end up your speech with a short conclusion with the message that you want to emphasize. Tell people what you really mean in that story. Okay, so this is the speech, 5 to 7 minutes. That's all. So it's the structure. Now, yeah, go ahead, move it. Now, I like to tell you about all of us learn different ways. Some of us like to see pictures. You have to show in your speeches visual things because some people learn when they see things. So you show them the pictures, so it is visual. Always you are writing to those people who want to learn this way, visually, you present it in that speech, something visual. But we also need to give other people who are learning by auditory. They want to hear. They want to hear the drum. When you hit the drum, or when you make music or make it sound in life, they learn from the sounds. So always have visual as well as auditory synonyms and schemes. Okay, the kinesthetic, which is the feeling. You have to show feelings in your speech so people can feel how you feel. Okay, and finally, we mentioned this before about the smell. Smell is the very strong that we can include in our speeches that make people live that message. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I want to now tell you when you paint a picture, all right, when you paint a picture for the people, let the picture be your setting. Okay, people can understand by seeing the picture, all right. So let me give you an example. If I'm gonna drive my car and driving from Riyadh to Dammam, and then suddenly I have somebody stop me, a policeman. Okay, I'm showing a picture. I'm driving, enjoying myself. Then, oh, stop! Yes, sir. Show me your driving license and registration, please. Did I do anything wrong, officer? Hmm. You are speeding, but you are Saudi, right? I said yes. Okay. Next time, drive carefully, and you need to stay in the sun more. This is just a picture I just showed you that I was stuck in a driving my car from one place to another, and I got in trouble. Then the character was talking to me. He was like a threat. That was a conflict. But finally, I got out of it. I will tell you the story later on about what happened. So, what I just mentioned to you, a dialogue between me and the officer. So now, when you hear the dialogue, you are leaving, seeing the officer standing angry and asking for the driving license and the registration. You say, "Oh my God, this man is really in trouble." Then at the end, he just be cool. He say, "Drive carefully and stay." It's a joke. Stay in the sun a little longer because why? He saw me. I am white, so I have to stay in the sun to get more dark. But sometimes can't use all these jokes to everyone because sometimes it's offending. Okay, this is before. Let me see the one before. Okay, here you showed me doing the dialogue. Dialogue is very important in speeches because if you write always narration, what will happen? It becomes a story, a book. You are reading a book, but we are speaking. You have to. You are exactly. It's gonna be boring because la, 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 la. There is no characters interacting. There is no conflict, okay? It's just you are reading, and the writing for the ear, but the speaking is for, I mean, the writing in the book for the eye, but the speaking is for your ear. So you are listening to the speaker. All right. So please let them hear the dialogue between the characters and let them feel the conflict. When you are delivering a speech and you are telling them about a conflict, you have to show it on yourself that you are feeling that conflict. Not just say, I was really sad, and you are smiling and laughing while delivering. You have to show that you are really feeling that sadness in your story. Okay? So let them feel the conflict by your emotions will be transported to them. And the final thing, Mr. Sergeant at Arms, the last one, yeah, after the conflict, I want to see, no, let them witness the change. Let me see before that. Okay, a lot of people tell you that I have transformed. You know, in the beginning, he tells a story about being sad and everything. Then at the end, everything becomes rosy and become every happiness. But he doesn't show. He's still sad. You have to show the transformation that you have really enjoyed. You start being energetic, you know, jumping around and laughing and saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, I succeeded," and you can succeed as well. So let them witness the change. And finally, do I see a timer? I don't see the timer. So as I told you, dialogue, not narration, because narration becomes boring and it becomes just like writing a book. So you need to have dialogue in your, and I like to tell you the final thing, one secret. When you are presenting any speech, let your face express the emotions and the feeling. Your face is the signal. People are looking at you and understanding what you're saying. But if your face doesn't show it, it will be like mistake or you are confusing the audience. So your face should be telling the story. Okay, let the face tell the story. Now this is the end of my presentation. I like to tell you that many people ask me, do we have to have humor in our speeches? I say, if you listen to the last 10 war champions, 10, 10 years ago till now, the last one was, who was the last one? Luisa Mortova, the Mexican or the American Mexican from Texas. You remember her? You know, Luisa? She has humor in her speech. But I don't want to use her humor because sometimes bad humor is bad, so it will not be good. But I would like to tell you, uncover humor in your stories. And in your story, there is a lot of humor uncovered between characters. When people speak, like I use a lot of time, my wife, when she is dialoguing with me, I make a lot of fun between her and me. She picks on me, I pick on her, and sometimes I pick on my mother-in-law, but I promise I will not do it anymore because she got mad at me. So make humor from the characters, okay? When they are speaking, everybody can uncover the humor there, all right? I think the timer showed me red. You didn't show me red, huh? We are still good. Okay. If we can switch, I want to switch to the humor because maybe some people have some. Do you have the other? Okay, all of you. Okay. Just want you to tell you a general thing about humor. How can we have humor in our speeches? I said uncover it by the dialogue. And the most important to know about humor is it's a twist, it's a surprise. You let people think because you set them up with something and you continue, they think that you are going in that direction and you surprise them by going in another direction. That's all about humor. It's a twist, a surprise, and maybe this lecture will be for another time when everybody wants to be really humorous. I can show that. But in a nutshell, humor is just an exaggeration. You exaggerate and you add twist, and the way it is, you make a setup, tell people information, continue telling them information, which is the setup, and they think you are going that way. And what happens? You trick them. You pause, because pause is very important. You pause before the punchline, and then you go to another direction. Everybody will be laughing. Why we laugh? If every one of you have listened to Candid Camera, have you seen Candid Camera? The tricks or any pranks. People make pranks. Even brothers make pranks at each other. Yeah, like he's want to sit, he remove the chair and he falls. It's a surprise. There is no chair. He falls. Everybody laughs. Why we laugh? The man is hurting himself by falling, but we laugh because there was a surprise, and he was going to sit and enjoy, but somebody pulled. Or if somebody put a peel of banana, I like to eat banana a lot, and if I throw it and I see a friend sliding on the banana and fall, everybody will be laughing, but the poor guy might be breaking his leg. So the surprise element is very important, how you bring humor. I like to see if you have any questions. I will have 5 minutes and then we'll close. Anybody wants to ask any questions? Sir.
What would be the best way to open the speech, and what would be the best way to end it? And is it good idea to start and end up with connectivity between, like, a kind of twist, but connecting or making a link between the opening and the closure of the speech?
Excellent question. I like that because what you are mentioning is a circle. We tell something and we go around at the end and repeat it. It's reminding the audience, which is very important. We start with, like, let's say, with a quotation, and then at the end, we remind people with the quotation. Okay? We can repeat the same thing from the beginning to the end because it means a lot. This quotation is connected to the message, but at the end, you have to tell them about it again. Now, how we start? Always try to shock the audience. Something unknown or something not happened before. Muhammad Gahtani, I was on his team. He surprised the whole audience. 2,000 people were looking, and he picked up cigarette and started clicking on it. And everybody said, "Oh, we are not supposed to smoke outside in the hotel. How about inside the audience?" So everybody is kind, "Oh, that surprise shocked the audience." And then he added humor by saying, "What?" As if he's not know, he doesn't know. What? Everybody laughed again and again, about 10 seconds of laughter. So laughter is very important to attract the audience, and then will make you a winner. So start with something shocking. Sometimes I like to start with this message. Do you know that no one has ever died from a snake bite? I looked at the audience. They are all listening and said, "Is that true? Snake bite? A lot of people died." And then I would say, "Yes, it's the venom that circulates in your blood that kills you." The message is, I'm trying to say that we have vengeance method. We want to revenge, but then the message is forgiveness. So I start with this. I shock the audience with message that no way, how can this? Or another great speaker said, "Oh, the world is flat." Everybody said, "What? We know it's round." So he shocked the audience with that, and then he continued because he was talking about communication, flat. Anyway, this is how you start. But at the end, I always like to tie it to my beginning and repeat the message, because it's important to tell people what message, what value you have in your speech, to remind them at the end, because that message is really for them, for the audience. The message, I like to have every speech with a good message that really is for the audience. So they take it home and learn from it. Okay? You have a question? Say that again. No, no, no. For the Toastmasters, we have international speech, and just mentioned how we structure it, how to, craft it. And I said we have to use humor, uncover humor in your stories. For the other one, the humorous speech is similar to the international. If you look at the ballot, the requirements the judges score points on, they are exactly the same. Structure, value, everything. The only thing about the humor, they have added 15 points differently, the way they put for the audience to react and listen to your humor. But they are exactly the same. So for the humor, there will be another session to talk about humor. But you are right. Humor is very essential, and I use it in my international speeches as well. Yeah.